A dynamite guest on today's Locked On Badgers. Honestly, one of my favorite people to talk to. We got Patrick Erb joining the show. We're going to talk Badgers football, practice in Platteville, open practice coming up, plus a couple of your questions, all that and more on a loaded Locked On Badgers. Let's go.
You are Locked On Badgers, your daily podcast on the Wisconsin Badgers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Badgers, your team every single day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm your host, Ryan Herrings. Really do appreciate everybody that is an everydayer that's here every single day joining this community. Thank you so much for that. Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins over at FanDuel. Great guest. Again, we're not going to waste time. We got Patrick Erb joining the show for, I don't know, the fourth or fifth time, assistant athletic director, strategic communications football. I'm going to put this up here, Patrick, because I want to start with this. This is from Nick. So cool. Love it when Patrick pops up. I remember when he'd reply to fan questions on Twitter, even answered a ticket question for me. Glad to see the success that has come his way. Very deserved.
Thanks, Nick. Appreciate it. It's a labor of love. Let's put it that way.
Let's start here, man. Obviously, you've been in Platteville. I've been there for a couple of days. We had a couple questions coming from different people, just kind of asking what's maybe different vibes or the team this year from last year or the previous couple of years.
Yeah, good question. My dad asked me the same thing just a little bit ago. He said, how's the vibe? Overall, I think it's been good. You would expect that. I mean, every team's undefeated at this point. So if you got bad vibes, you got problems. And so last year, I didn't think there were bad vibes. But I do love this year's team from what I've seen so far. I do feel there's a different level of connectivity on this team. I know I've seen some of your podcasts lately. I know you've talked about it too. Offensively, the guys have talked about it, that there's a different level of connectivity there. At night, some of the culture team building things they're doing seem to be impactful. I've heard some are humorous, some are not. You know, they're going around and asking people to identify and see if they know they're all their teammates. And at times, some of these guys don't know each other's names. You know, there's a lot of guys there, and some of them just got there in June. And so some of that is done in a little bit of jest. And I think it was Coach Fickle. Somebody joked the other day that if you don't know somebody, just guess Mason, because they got a lot of Masons on the team, either first name or last name. So some of that's happening, but then the impact seems to be coming from a lot of these upperclassmen giving testimonials, I guess is maybe a good way to say it, where guys are telling their life story. And the assistant coaches did this during spring, during team meetings of getting up and introducing themselves, because there's several new assistant coaches this year, and just talking about what their path was, what makes them who they are, what their passions are. And so now they've been doing it with some of the upperclassmen and the veterans at camp each night, and they get emotional sometimes. I was not there for it, but I heard Aaron Witz was in particular really emotional. He talked about his mother passing and what that has meant to him. Nazir Forkirine, who you've probably talked about a lot on this channel about his situation right now and not knowing if he's going to play or not. And he got up and was really truthful about what that's like, what he's going through, having to go through legal battles that he's not prepared for, or never thought he'd be in that position. But then also he talked about, which is part of his case, is his father passing away his freshman year of college at Grand Valley State and what that impact has. So these small cultural things, it's not unique to Wisconsin. I'm not naive in that. I know that other schools are doing these things too. But I do love the impact or the importance that they are trying to put on culture and connectivity. And so they work really hard. Luke Fickle works this team hard. They hit hard. Practices have been more physical this year than I think the last 2 years and the last several that I've been around. And that's important to establish the toughness, the physicality they want to return to this program. And then also the off-field connection. And going to Platteville, I think, is really valuable. I really do. Just getting away, being able to immerse yourselves in each other. And there aren't many distractions out there. They're either at the practice field or they're in the dorm, which is lovely. Platteville takes really good care of us, and it's been a really good fit. And they've got 3 more nights there, 3 more nights there. They're almost done.
And one of those we're going to talk about coming up. I got to say, I kind of like coming out to Platteville to watch the team. It feels like it's, to your point, there's no distractions. the stadium. It's there. It's all about the team, the culture. And I want to talk about that for a second. The culture that you hit on. It feels like every player I talked to was able to talk to Billy Edwards came up as a leader. It reminded me just a tiny bit, not in terms of play style, but you tell me if I'm crazy, the way people kind of talked about Russell Wilson coming in and being a leader right away, just from the leadership standpoint.
I'm going to disagree on that one. And I think that's why you asked it, because you want my opinion. Russell Wilson had command of everybody right away, but a different style of leadership. Russell came in as a pro. Russell came in as somebody who had written down his goals, and he was driven to, this is what we are going to be, this is what I'm going to be, and had a slogan and a foundation, and he had like a charitable component, and he was a business unto himself from when he got here. And yes, they were both fifth-year guys who were going to be here 1 year, but a different command of it. Billy Edwards from day one is the guy who's hanging out with the linemen, and at the same time could be playing cards with the linebackers the next night. And it's natural. He isn't QB1 in that setting. He's just one of the guys. And Russell had a little bit of an aura. And you have to remember that was before transfer portal was what it is now. Mm-hmm. So him coming in as this import, that just didn't happen. So he was a rarity, just in the fact that he came here as a fifth-year guy who was going to be our 1 year quarterback. And he was also really highly celebrated. Like, this guy's going to be the guy, and he lived up to it. Where Billy is like, yes, we are expecting him to come in and be the starting quarterback and be great for this team. He didn't come in here with the everybody thinks he's everything. You know, the preseason watch list for quarterback of the year is going to come out, and he's not going to be on it. And I'm okay with that. I think he's okay with it too. Like, he wants to be on the midseason one, don't get me wrong, but he's an everyman right now. And that is part of the leadership of him, that he is the everyman, and he's not on a different level than the rest of the guys. And so that's a little bit my opinion on how he and Russell are different. And I don't mean that as a criticism of Russell, just different scenario.
No, that's phenomenal insight. And yeah, I love it. This is the type of things you get when you get Patrick Herb on the show. You get deep dives into some of this stuff. Been with the Badgers for 16 years. Again, I could talk to you for hours. We talk about this all the time. I do want to ask you this, man, because I think maybe the biggest topic outside of just the team itself that Badger fans talk about is the schedule. It's a national topic. It's a Badger topic. Mm-hmm. How do you measure success when the schedule is what it is? And I also
wins.
Here's the question.
No, wins. We got to win. No, I mean, that, like, I understand the question, and like, okay, if this team, what if they're better, but their record isn't better? I get all that. But wins, right? That's what everything's measured on. That's how this program is going to get back. They're going to win. And I hope that's what people want to hear, because that's what the team is saying. They're not talking about what's our moral victory if we play well at Alabama, like that. Go win the game. And yes, is it a huge mountain is the word that Fickle keeps using? Like, we got to climb this mountain. Yes. And outsiders, we might be a 2-touchdown underdog going into that game, but that's how you measure it. And that has to, even if from an outside world, you and others and fans can try to hedge things, and that's fine. And we might have to, based on how the schedule or how the record pans out. But for now, it's wins. Like, and so I sorry to cut you off, but that's what it has to be. Like, don't be scared. Go to Michigan. Michigan's going to have a freshman quarterback playing in that game. Michigan was 5-4 in the conference last year. Jim Harbaugh is not their coach anymore. So on paper, yes, it's Michigan, and they were the national champs 2 years ago. I get all that. And again, we might be 2-touchdown underdogs, but why not? Go win the game.
I love it.
That's why the more I watch practice, the more I'm around the team now and getting excited, the more optimism I get. And I'm like, hey, we can, like, 5.5 is the Vegas over and under. Come on, let's go.
Coming up next, more with Patrick Herb and why this schedule does have some really exciting opportunities on it. But first, a quick second for our friends of the show over at FanDuel. Listen, summer is here, and it is a phenomenal time to get involved over at FanDuel.com, whether it's baseball, golf. I love betting on baseball over at FanDuel. Every day is a little different. Starters change every day, so you can reset that momentum. And FanDuel is the perfect betting partner to rely on this summer. It is fast. It's simple. The user interface is clean. So if you haven't done it a lot, you know exactly how to set your futures, your parlays, spreads, live in-game betting. There is no better place to bet than on FanDuel.com. Plus, the customer support is great, and your payouts are super quick. They get to your bank account as soon as you win. It is fast, easy, and simple, stress-free and hassle-free. Spice up your summers a little bit more on FanDuel.com. Plus, this great new offer. If you're new to FanDuel, this is a phenomenal time to start. New customers, if you bet and win your first $5 bet, you will get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Open the FanDuel app today. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. $150 in bonus bets if you just win your first $5 bet. It is a phenomenal spot to do it. Head over to FanDuel.com today to get started. Listen, I took the over on that because I think, to your point, I think you made a really good point. Even with the tough schedule, there's so many quarterback questions that with the teams the Badgers are going to play, Bama, Ohio State, Michigan, there's a lot of places breaking in new quarterbacks. That doesn't always go well. Like there's opportunities on the schedule.
Yeah, or new coaches, right? Like, and I don't mean to. I'm not trying to criticize Michigan. I actually don't have anything against Michigan. I know we're probably supposed to hate Michigan around here, but they have a new coach. We know that coaching transitions are tough. We've seen it here, right? This one has not gone as fast as we had hoped or wanted it to. So now they're in year 2 with Sherrone Moore. So I just use that as an example of you got to play the games. Wisconsin was a whisker away from winning games last year, as you know, against Oregon, Penn State, and USC. All 3 of those games were fourth quarter games. If they can be fourth quarter games last year, can they be wins this year? That's what you have to hope, that this team made incremental gains and that those games become wins this season.
Are there any players? So obviously you've been in practice. A couple of us covering the team have been able to be at practice. Some people see clips on Twitter, and there'll be an open practice that we're going to talk about next. But for a lot of people, that season opener is going to be the first time they lay eyes on this version of the Badgers team. Are there a couple other players that have stood out to you that maybe either haven't been as heralded or someone that Badger fans are going to be really surprised when they see him this year?
Players are going to be surprised. Offensive line is hard to evaluate how good guys are, right? Because you really only talk about them if they don't do well, if they give up sacks, unless the team runs for 250, and then you can say the line was great. Joe Brunner has stood out. Joe Brunner is having a really good camp, and he's really good. He's locking down guard position, that left guard, that he will be there. I think he's had a really good camp, and he's maybe not on a lot of people's radars of guys. Who else would I call out? The running back room is getting a lot of attention, so maybe that's not a good answer for me to say. But watching today, Dilin Jones runs hard. I really like watching him. Cade Yakimelli is going to find his way onto the field. The staff loves him. They have been preaching physicality on the offense, right? We have to bring back the physicality. We're going to run the ball. We're going to play under center a lot. We're going to use tight ends in the blocking game. Okay, so in order to do that, you have to continually preach physicality and physicality. I said this the other day. I would love for nothing more than the first game of the year against Miami, Ohio. We start with a 9-play drive where we don't even pass the ball. 9 plays, 80 yards, touchdown run. It's just gash, 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 gash. Okay, so in order to get that, you have to establish that physicality. And I know the coaching staff, Joe Brunner's a guy that they're saying does that. Cade Yakimelli is a guy that is physical and is embodying that. Chris Brooks is a name that a lot of people probably, the diehards know that name, but most people don't. He has not had much of an impact. He's a wide receiver. I probably need to say that because people may not even know that. He's another guy, though, that the staff I know is really appreciating how he's taking that approach and embodying it. So that's a guy that I'm not suggesting Chris Brooks is going to have 40 catches this year, because he may not. But it's a guy that might find his way onto the field that people would have no idea about him. A couple other ones I would say. I think the tight end transfer that came in late, Lance Mason, has had a nice camp. And this offense loves a good tight end or 2 tight ends. Tucker Ashcraft's going to be a part of this too. But I think he's had a good camp. Defensively, I love our safeties. I think Austin Brown, he was named to the freaks list that Bruce Feldman put out, he and Cade Yakimelli. Austin Brown, I think, has big upside as a safety next to Preston Zachman, who's like the steady veteran that you want, that you can win with. But then the backup, the 2 safeties that are backing him up, Matthew Trainer, Matt Young, 2 transfers that came in. both of those guys are playmakers, and they may not get a lot of reps this year because of Austin Brown and Preston Zachlin, but the year after, those might be the starting safeties, and I've been impressed with them. Who else should we go with? Linebacker, Cooper Catalano. That's a name people know. True freshman from in-state, Germantown kid. You can't help but notice him when he's out there. He wears 44, which Chris Borland wore, so he kind of reminds you of Chris Borland. I don't know if he's the freaky athlete that Chris Borland was. People may forget how crazy athletic he was. But he might be, but he's definitely taller, longer, might be a little faster. But he's always around the ball. And then Rieger, the outside linebacker. Today, they kind of backed off a little bit, I think, which is good. Like, they're trying to be careful with him. He's had a big injury history. They want to be able to maximize him. But Mason Rieger shows up all the time at outside linebacker, just in the backfield, being disruptive, around the ball, plays like Tasmanian Devil. And so I listed a lot of guys, but I did that on purpose. I think there are a lot of guys that are flashing, and maybe some of those names are kind of new names for people.
Yeah, I love it. That's a great list. And yeah, Mason's just been the relentlessness that he plays with is unique, and he's just never stopped. The engine doesn't quit. I want to be very respectful of your time. I know you have a bunch of stuff going on, but
we're good. Let's keep going.
Yes. Don't tell me that. We will go for an hour. I have basketball questions. I have women's basketball questions.
Yeah.
We will go for an hour if you tell me that. So I am going to be very respectful as always. But let's talk about the open practice coming up. Let's get Badger fans out to that coming up this Saturday. Can you talk a little bit about what that is, when it is, and what Badger fans will be able to kind of expect there?
Appreciate you bringing it up. So Saturday night, 7:00 in Platteville at their stadium. And I found out that we're going to actually scrimmage for a big part of it, which is exciting. So it is a practice. It's practice number 10 of fall camp. So they're going to do some individual work, and they're going to do some things that look like normal practice, but then they're going to scrimmage, and they're going to go good on good and try to simulate some real live action, not just as a fan feature, but because they need to do that too. They're going to have some other scrimmages coming up on the weekends subsequently too. And that's how this one falls. So awesome chance to not only see the team, but get a real look at where they are 10 practices into fall camp. If you haven't been to Platteville, folks haven't, which they wouldn't have many opportunities unless they go to Pioneer games or last year's camp. You get to be really close. It's an intimate stadium. You get to be closer than you maybe do in Camp Randall when you come to a Badger home game or to our spring showcase, etc. Tickets are $5. Under 12 and under are free. Tickets are $5. It benefits the Platteville Athletic Department. This is not a Wisconsin fundraiser, but we're very grateful for the partnership that we have with them, and it helps support their athletic department. Last year they charged for parking. This year, no, free parking. They will have concession stands available. And we're not advertising it as an autograph session. It's not what it's meant for. But I know last year a lot of our guys were really good, and they went and they hung out and they met folks, the fans that were there. They signed autographs, took pictures, and I was really happy to see that. And I would expect some of that's going to happen organically again this Saturday. So great chance to get up close and see this team, and at a pretty reasonable price, I'd say $5 for adults and free for kids. 7:00 on Saturday.
I think you nailed it too. That stadium's a great place to. Occasionally, when I'm there covering just in the press box, I'll go down on the seats just to get a different perspective, and it's a great spot to just watch some football on a good night among good people. I wanted to ask you this because we were at the spring showcase, and my son was able to interact with Eugene Hilton and Haywood and Agard and a couple other players. Our players everyone feels so polished these days. Is that a relatively new thing, do you think, or am I just misinterpreting that?
I'm glad to hear you say that, first of all. That's probably not accurate of everybody. So you had some good encounters. That's good. What I will say about that, and I'll relay it to yesterday as well. So yesterday was the Greg Gard Invitational golf outing with the basketball program and boosters and friends of the program. And the whole entire basketball team was at the event, and they were staggered throughout the course, just meeting people as they came through and shaking hands and saying hello. And we got a ton of positive feedback kind of what you're saying is these guys are polished. They're good guys. They seem to want to be there instead of just I had to be there type of thing. And what I'll say this about football and basketball and really all of our programs here is that's not by accident. And so I wish I could say it's because we do a lot of great media training and we do a lot of work with these guys on how they carry themselves. There's a little bit of that, of like the expectation of what it means to be a Wisconsin athlete and how you conduct yourself. But it's also who you recruit, who you bring to your program, how you treat them when they're here. And that's the part that's not by accident. A former coach of ours who now coaches at a rival, so I won't name his name, used to say, you recruit your problems. And that statement has always stuck with me, that some of these teams that run into a lot of issues, that's also not by accident. It's because you might be bringing in guys with questionable character or shady backgrounds or people that hang with the wrong crowd. And it makes my life easier as a Badger alum myself. It makes me proud that by and large, we recruit good people into our program.
Well, let me shift gears really quick if you have just 1 minute. I was able to have, I know basketball is coming up in a bit, and I was able to also on the women's side have Coach P on the show. I got to tell you,
isn't she?
I was really impressed.
Me
and
too.
I want to say that, like, I just wouldn't bring it up if I wasn't, right? It's not blowing smoke. I was really impressed.
So yeah, my side of that story, when I heard who we were hiring, I'll admit it, I didn't know who she was. I didn't follow Missouri women's basketball, so I didn't know. And I was, I, like everyone else, looked at recent results and said, oh, okay, I don't know much about this person. And then I spent some time with her opening day. I heard how she interacted with the media, heard how she handled her press conference, and I walked away going, okay, I'm in. I don't know yet if we're going to win a lot of games, but I want to root for her, and I'm going to give her a chance. I whatever preconceived notions I had evaporated, and I'll call out a specific example of, I wasn't the only one. Jim Polzine, local columnist for the Wisconsin State Journal, wrote a pretty critical piece when she was hired, and kind of took it to task of this being the hire. And then he met her, sat through a press conference, got a little one-on-one time with her, and he wrote kind of the opposite column after that and said, all right, I will admit when I'm wrong. I think I might have been wrong on this one. I see it. And so that also validated to me that, like, yeah, she's got a chance, and she's got a power of personality, and hopefully she does it X's and O's too.
Well, I know the bar is very, very high for women's athletics, for all athletics at Wisconsin, but you look at volleyball, women's hockey. Where can women's basketball get potentially?
I would hate to put guardrails on anything.
Yeah. To
be honest, it is supported here, both from a facility standpoint. They've got the same facilities the men do, which are world-class. Not only the Cole Center, but also some of the student athlete services areas that were just remodeled, and brand new coaching offices and weight room and sports medicine, nutrition, all those areas, beautiful and first class in college basketball, first class. So they're supported that way. They're involved in the revenue sharing strategy here at Wisconsin. So I would hate to put any guardrails on them. That our expectations are and can be that this team is very successable, and postseason becomes the hope here. I think is that the postseason becomes the norm and not a goal, right? It becomes an expectation. And so I don't know what to expect in year one, year two, but I think that is I don't want to call it a sleeping giant, because it doesn't have a great, this long history of, wow, look what they were years ago. But they have had success in the past and are supported enough that feels like we can get that one going rather quickly. I hope so.
I hope so too. I would love it. I love hoops. A couple really quick questions here to get you out the door. I love this one though. This one was from, I didn't get the name of it, but someone wanted to ask, what excites you the most about the direction Wisconsin athletics is heading, but maybe on the field or in the storytelling space?
So this football question, I assume.
I think so. Yeah.
The direction Wisconsin athletics is heading on the field and in the storytelling space. On the field, I think I love the recalibration of the offense and the return to physicality and the way we're going to play. And I liked Phil Longo. I liked him as a person. But I think that clearly it was identified here that a change was needed, not only in a change of structure and how we do things, but also a change in leadership. And so I've been impressed with Jeff Grimes so far. And like I said a little while ago in this, I hope that opening possession against Miami, we run the ball 9 times and score a touchdown, and that can establish like this is what they're going to be. And those of us who followed this program for a long time know that has built a lot of success here. And I'm not one of those people that says like we need to just go back to the old fashioned way, but there are things that we can lean on from that I'm confident we are getting back to. So that's probably the direction from a on field that excites me. From a storytelling space, that's a really good question. I want to think about that one, to be honest. I think from a storytelling space, I think that we are going to lean in a lot on Camp Randall is special, being here is special, independent of what is happening on the field. And a couple things, like if you were at any of the concerts at Camp Randall this summer, they were like, there was this awesome magic from those of being in this space that we love and this hallowed ground of Camp Randall that has got the history and all the tradition that people have been coming to for decades. And it's like a part of their family tradition. And then you mixed in this awesome entertainment and it was like this merging of these worlds. And Camp Randall, we only get 7 Saturdays a year for Badger football games. And every one of them is a holiday and a big family reunion. And this year we've got some big promotions to try to continue layering into that Camp Randall mystique specialness. That opening game, that Thursday, August 29th game against Miami, Ohio, night game under the lights. We're going to have a light show. We got new lights in the stadium, new LED lights that allow us to play with things a little bit more. In the past, the old light situation, if you turned off the lights and then tried to turn them back on, it's going to take you a couple minutes for them to warm back up. They were the old lights. And so if we scored a touchdown and wanted to turn the lights off in celebration, you'd have to pause the game for 5 minutes before the lights could come back on. Now they can go off and on, like we've seen that Lambeau Field has that, right, for the Packers. So that's going to open up a lot of kind of cool things for us. And we've got some other kind of special tricks kind of in the bag that we're waiting on announcing for that opener. So I don't know, from a storytelling standpoint, I love this place. It means a lot to me, and I think it does to our fans. And leaning into that, the special magic of Camp Randall that's something that kind of excites me.
No, I can't wait for that opener. Now I gotta bring my kid there, my son.
You should, yeah. I think it's gonna be one of those, like, if you weren't there, you're gonna have FOMO. I really do. I don't want to oversell it. But I want to kind of sell it.
We're gonna lock it in.
Probably say that there's tickets available. So if you don't have them yet, get them. I think it's gonna be kind of fun.
We're gonna lock it in then. We're gonna do an event there. Last one
here.
And
let's tank 50 on Miami and let's start the season off right.
It'd be so fun. Let's do it. Last one here, man. Again, I could go forever, but you wrote, this is from 715 UWH, shifting gears a little bit. You wrote the Make 'em Believe about that journey. Was there a story that maybe didn't make the book that stood out to you? I have that book, by the way. I have it on the shelf. I recommend people getting it.
Thanks.
I showed you the picture of that.
Let's see. I got one here. Let's see. So Make 'em Believe. But so, no, if I had a story that didn't make the book, it would have made the book.
Maybe he's wondering if something you couldn't put in the book. I don't know. But what an incredible journey. Like, what else maybe stands out to you with reflection with that group then? Or they just had that Made 'em Believe reunion, you know?
So, yeah, they did. That was cool. Frank Kaminsky is going into the Badger Athletic Hall of Fame this September. And we've already announced that. And he came back for the announcement of it. And we asked him to be the keynote speaker, if you will, of the announcement press conference kind of thing. And we had a current Hall of Fame member speak, and then we had one of the incoming Hall of Famers speak, and that was Frank Kaminsky. And so we didn't give him much direction. We just wanted to say, we said, we got a couple minutes, whatever, 3 minutes, 8 minutes, whatever you want to take. And what does this mean to you? What does Wisconsin mean to you? But what does going into the Wisconsin Hall of Fame mean to you? And his speech was awesome. It was awesome. If you haven't seen it, I would recommend people go find it on YouTube or on social media. We posted it on our UWBadgers.com social media channels and on YouTube, Wisconsin Athletics. It's maybe 7 or 8 minutes. It's self-deprecating, just like we know Frank to be. He talks about his recruiting story and how he thought he was coming up to Wisconsin as a token, like, favor to his dad. Like, he didn't really think he was going to get an offer from Wisconsin. And then how this place shaped him to become what he is. And it was like, yes, that's why we fell in love with Frank. That's why we fell in love with that team, that they were self-aware. They had that humility about them. So it's been really fun. He's coming back again for the game on September 6th when we're going to recognize all the Hall of Fame inductees. There's an event the night before the Middle Tennessee State football game where they get formally inducted. And then Saturday at the football game, they get recognized on the field. And he's coming back for that. And I was just talking to him the other day, and he's like, I'm going to need a lot of tickets to the football game because his family's big and they all love to support. And so we were talking about how we could get him lined up with a ton of tickets. That's not a story about the book that made it. I know I have some that, and maybe some that didn't make the book because they're a little bit inappropriate for wide audiences. But if you give me time and we do this again, I could come up with a good story from that team that didn't make the book.
Well, man, you are always welcome. And again, we'll wrap it there. As gracious with his time as ever, I kept Patrick for 10 minutes more than I said I would. And he is always very, very kind and welcoming. I'll end it here. Marine Matt just said, when I said he was coming on the show, said that guy's a legend. Speaking of you. So very appreciated as always, Patrick. Thank you so much. Badger fans, get out to Platteville this Saturday if you can. I don't think you're going to regret it. Having been there, it's a phenomenal place to watch a game. And come check out some of the new pieces on this team. Patrick, as always, thank you so much for jumping on the show. I really appreciate you, man.
Happy to, man. Let's do it again soon.
For sure. On Wisconsin, and we will talk tomorrow.